Hail my arch villains and welcome to the world famous Arch City Comics. If you're not already, please make sure you are subscribed and you've got that bell rung for notifications so you can stay up to date on all things Arch City. So today I came across a very interesting article about the upcoming Obi Wan series from Disney Plus. What's going on? Well, Collider had a very exclusive story that dropped today. It says Obi Wan Disney Plus series on hold as crew sent home. Yikes! It says here that last week, troubling rumors began swirling about the upcoming Disney Plus series revolving around the character of Obi Wan Kenobi. Ewan McGregor is poised to reprise his role from the Star Wars prequels in a story set 8 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Screenwriter Hossein Amini and director Deborah Chow were tapped to spearhead the series, and production was on pace to begin this year. These rumors hinted at potential trouble behind the scenes, and while we're hearing the show isn't canceled, we are hearing that it has been delayed. Why? Well, let's see. Two independent sources with knowledge of the situation tell Collider that Obi-Wan series has been put on hold as the crew that had assembled at Pinewood Studios in London was sent home. A time frame was not given, but the crew was told that the show would be down indefinitely. That is never a good sign. A lot of people are now without paychecks, unfortunately. It says, we're hearing that Lucasfilm president and Obi-Wan producer Kathleen Kennedy, the witch herself, was not happy with the scripts. Sources tell us that what will most likely happen next is the scripts will be reworked with the hopeful goal of reassembling this summer. But there's always the possibility that time frame could shift. It sounds like Kennedy would rather ensure that the story being told with this Disney Plus series is as good as it can be on the page before they roll the cameras. And rather than move forward with hesitations, she's asked that they go back and rework what's on the page. Does she really want the best, or is she just trying to make it as terrible as possible? Because The Mandalorian was great, so I will say that Obi-Wan has some very big shoes to fill in its upcoming release. Fans adored it. It was revered pretty much across the board. But she actually had very little to do with it, from my knowledge. She is the producer, and she is the president of the little Star Wars sect of Disney right now. But she also ruined the Disney trilogy. Absolutely destroyed it. This goes on to say, this makes a lot of sense as Lucasfilm has a history with troubled productions recently. Rogue One was rewritten and reworked during filming, with Tony Gilroy spearheading reshoots that spanned most of the third act. And Solo, a Star Wars story, directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller notably exited that film in the middle of production, with Ron Howard coming in to take over. And even Ron Howard, who is a masterful director, could not even save Solo, a Star Wars story. Because goddamn was that movie boring. I fell asleep trying to watch it twice. It just could not keep my attention. And Han Solo is one of the coolest characters ever created. And they couldn't even make him look cool enough to keep me awake for 2 hours. Anywho, this goes on to say, this Obi-Wan delay also comes on the heels of a chilly reception for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I like that. Chilly reception. Yes, it is very cold. The third and final film in Lucasfilm's new sequel trilogy. Not only has the concluding chapter in the Star Wars trilogy earned the worst critical reception of any Star Wars movie thus far, it is on pace to be the lowest grossing film in this new trilogy. Although, to be fair, it's still crossing $1 billion at the box office. Because it's still Star Wars. There are people that are still going to go see any Star Wars movie that comes out. But this is the final chapter. This was, supposedly anyway, the final chapter of the 9-movie Skywalker saga. This was your epic finale. And people hated it. People were not happy. A lot of the normies out there thought it was very good, but a lot of normies don't delve into Star Wars as much as the true Star Wars fans do. So it's much more passable to those people than it is to the actual people who have been around for decades and generations loving these films and these characters. It's a complete letdown. They absolutely destroyed what George Lucas built up. And George Lucas wasn't even the greatest either. If it weren't for other people behind the scenes, Star Wars probably wouldn't be what it is today. Because if he had his way, we would have had something really quite awful. But anyhow, I digress. It says here, the Obi Wan series actually began its life as a feature film, which Stephen Daldry was on tap to direct, but after some development, Lucasfilm decided instead to expand and adapt that planned story into a TV series for the Disney Plus streaming service. Why not? They've got this brand new platform. They have no real original content for it other than The Mandalorian right now. I think maybe another movie or two has also been released, but nothing to really draw in the masses. It says Lucasfilm is being tight-lipped with regards to its future film plans beyond a Kevin Feige-produced feature. Oh, Lord. A new trilogy from Rian Johnson that's still in development. Why? But production is already underway on Season 2 of the hit Disney Plus series The Mandalorian. The second season of the well-received live-action show is due to be released later this year, once again under the tutelage of Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. And indeed, Obi-Wan director Deborah Chow no doubt landed that plum gig after showcasing her talents, helming the standout 3rd and 7th episodes of The Mandalorian Season 1. Yeah, I have no doubt that Deborah Chow could do an Obi-Wan series justice. No doubt in my mind. I don't want to see Jon Favreau leave The Mandalorian because I feel like if that does, then that series is going to go to shit. Go to hell in a handbasket real damn quick. But we can only tell when the second season lands because that's what they like to do a lot of times. They'll get you with Season 1. They'll pull you in and get you all warm and comfy. And then Season 2 will start to go off the rails. And by Season 3, they've completely lost the plot and ruin what audience they had built up. This says, there's a lot of great potential in this Obi-Wan series, and while it's not great news that there's been a delay, it likely comes as a relief that Kennedy and co. are taking their time to get this particular series right. Is that what they're really doing, though, or is Kennedy just meddling about trying to ruin what was probably already a pretty decent script? This article does have an update from THR, confirms this report, also notes that Lucasfilm is looking for a new writer to replace Amini and planning to scale the series back from 6 episodes to 4. Wow! Okay, so you went from a miniseries to essentially a really long movie. 4 episodes is just a long-ass movie. According to one source, the Kenobi story treaded similar ground as The Mandalorian, seeing the Jedi Master lending a protective hand to a young Luke and perhaps even a young Leia. Now that doesn't make any sense to me because when we first picked up the story in Episode 4, Luke had heard of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but they had never met. We see them meet for the first... Well, I guess it is not the first time. He does recognize his face. But Leia is not around at all. So unless Obi-Wan's jumping back and forth from planet to planet, I don't really see how that makes a whole lot of sense. So I misspoke there. Yes, Luke does recognize Obi-Wan in Episode 4. He knows exactly who he is. He has no idea exactly who he is, his history, but he is familiar with Ben Kenobi, and him being a hermit on Tatooine. But the Leia part, that doesn't make any sense to me. So, not very good news for this new Obi-Wan series and its future. I'm very interested to see what comes of this, where they end up taking this. But my gut says it's not going to be anywhere good. If Kathleen Kennedy is meddling, no good can come of it. None whatsoever. I once had high hopes for this series, and now I have my standards are low. They're very low at this point. But we'll see how it goes. This is bad. This is just bad news, though. Like I said, a lot of people are now out of work, and you send the whole crew home That's hundreds and hundreds of people that are now twiddling their thumbs, worried about what they're going to do next if the series is going to come back. The fact that they fired Amini and they're looking for a new writer says a lot. You know, they didn't want him to rewrite the scripts. They wanted somebody else to come in and write these scripts. So I think that'll say a lot when this gets going again as to who they hire as the new writer for this. Favreau did great with The Mandalorian. I think they should just stick with him. I'm sure he could come up with a very, very good Obi Wan story. And obviously he's not going to write the same story as he did at The Mandalorian. He's got a lot more talent than that. So he would get my vote. But there's a lot of people out there that could do something really good with this series. Like I said, time will tell. Hopefully this gets rolling soon and will come out, because this was supposed to be one of the 2020 releases from Disney Plus, and now we might not even see this year, especially if the filming has come to a grinding halt. So we will see. I will keep you posted if I hear any more. Until then, like I said, make sure you're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, sound off in the comments, and we will see you next time.